Hey Texas, get ready to catch some bass and big ones at that with help from our guides navigating the full pool lakes lately.
That's right, Brie. We're also waiting for trout, redfish inshore, and then offshore it looks like it's going to be kingfish, tunas, and snappers. That's the kind of weekend we got coming.
Sounds good on the Texas Insider Fishing Report, which starts now.
Welcome to the Texas Insider Fishing Report. Presented by Yamaha.
Welcome back to the Texas Insider Fishing Report. We hope everyone had a memorable Father's Day weekend, but we are well into June now with temps rising and some weather on the horizon. But you know what, Rick? The fishing's been pretty good according to our guides lately.
It has been really good, and you know, one of the things I just noticed as I saw the camera sweep, I don't have my little hat on this morning, this evening. So I'll get that during the first commercial break. But you know, Brie, you're absolutely right. Texas is so big that you have guys that got full pull in the middle fresh and upper coast, the upper fresh, but then they're starving for water down south. So it'll be interesting to see what weather brings them this weekend, because they're definitely going to get some rain.
That's what we're here for, to help you catch those fish. All right, well, let's head over to the Yacht Gear workbench with Dave Farrell at the helm. What say you, Dave?
I say we're going to be talking about the Jupiter rig today. You know, a cool rig that you can use both inshore and offshore. So
it's really going to be a good rigging technique.
Cool stuff.
Sounds good to me. All right, well, let's start in the Fish Bites middle fresh region, where the waiting game is on with Bink Grimes. So go for it, Bink.
Hey, we've enjoyed 7 to 10 days of calm weather, which has allowed us to evaluate our trout fishery. Results have been impressive in Matagorda with numerous trout in the 7-pound class, caught and released in East Bay. We've been wading mid-bay reefs with topwaters and mirror lure soft dines and enjoying heart-pumping topwater action as the summer sun rises. Off drifters in East Matagorda Bay has caught and released multiple trout, 5 to 7 pound range. Rigged with corks about 3 feet deep. Tides have been low for this time of year, but they're coming up with this tropical storm that we have out in the Gulf right now. Trout are beginning to slick on the shorelines in the morning in West Matagorda Bay. That's a term we use when those fish feeding. They regurgitate, and that oily comes to the top, kind of shows you where they are, and kind of gives their locale away. Port O'Connor anglers have waded the mazes of marsh along the south shoreline of Santo Bay and San Antonio Bay. Some are wading the back lakes with small topwaters. It's all plastics like the bass sass and sea shad. Others are taking buckets full of shrimp, tossing corks off the shell points and getting their fish. And then at Rockport, the incoming tide's been good for waders around Mud Island, Allen's Bight, and Super Flats. Some of them are throwing corkies, soft dines, bass assassins, and mirror lure sheep ups. The surf was fishable for the first time this past week. Green tides brought those specks along the beach, and we hammered them with topwaters and bass assassins. We're releasing most of them. Most of them are over 20 inches. And we released them right back to the Gulf of Mexico. There's a photo. Here's one of those 5-pounders we caught and released this week with light winds and green tides. Our water temps are running in the upper 80s right now. It's imperative to get those big fish back in the water quickly with as little stress as possible. Redfish action in Matagorda. Most boaters are hitting points and structures along the south shoreline with live shrimp. They stop for 5 minutes, move on. They don't get a bite. One here, one there, keep moving. We call that the school bus pattern. Others are camping on mud flats and waiting for the reds to come to them. Toss a chunk of fresh mullet, set the rod in the rack and wait for the thump. It takes patience, but at the end of the day, that's how the redfish guys have been getting them. Bull reds are all over the beaches and jetties. Guys on foot have tossed big chunks of crab and mullet in the first gut when we had this calm weather this past week. And jetty anglers have worked the ocean side on the incoming and the channel side on the outgoing. There's also lots of redfish on the edge of the ICW from Sargent to Matagorda. Live shrimp's been the ticket for anglers working the trolling motor on the drop-off. Don't be afraid to work that off-color water. Those redfish still eat in dirty water. Old pros like to peel some of the shell of the shrimp to get more scent when that water is really abysmal. Offshore in Matagorda, Michael Quebeca said there's been more cobia and triple tail showing up beneath the large rafts of seaweed. He had a really good week last week when tides and seas were running 1 to 2 feet. Both triple tail and linger curious fish. They come to the surface to check things out, like the boat commotion or shadow and boat creates, and you can cast and have a rod ready and cast right to them. Both are excellent tabor fare and can be sight casted with baits like shrimp and small finger mullet. He likes to have those rods rigged and just kind of bass fish flip right at him. It's been pretty good. He's also enjoyed a good swordfish bite. Smoked swordfish is a delicacy along the Middle Coast. He's been getting them about 80 to 90 foot of water and had a really good week for them last week. The fish bites, Middle Coast region continues to impress this summer. Fishery first attitude is sweeping across the Lone Star State. We're seeing our bays rebound and our estuaries rebound. More conservative attitudes and catch and release is working, and we all should be proud for the efforts.
All right, Bing, thank you for leading that charge. We're going to go and take a look at the mirror lure hotspots from the Middle Coast region. Bing says, in Rockport, the trout are good along St. Joe's Island on small top waters and plastics on the incoming tide. And in Port O'Connor, the redfish are steady at the jetties on the shrimp and crabs. And the waders have found good schools of reds in those back lakes.
Steady at the jetty. I thought for
Steady
sure
at
you
the
were going
jetty.
to reiterate that one. All right, well, we're finding ways to beat the heat and the lack of rain on Lake Somerville, Choke Canyon, Amistad, Fayette County, and Lake Falcon. So let's see what our lower fresh region guide, Matt Reed, is suggesting. What's up, Matt?
Hey, Brie. Yeah, we're just entering that lovely, nice old South Texas hot summertime.
Woo!
Let's start talking about the bass. Mike Bates sent me a report from Choke Canyon. The bite has still been good despite the heat. The early morning bite, it has been so good. It slowed down, though. He's trying it every day for about 30 minutes in areas that have deep water access close. If they're there, you'll see he'll stay for a little bit. Other than that, he's moving on out to that 15-foot range. Texas rigs, shaky heads, Carolina rigs, and deep diving crankbaits have been getting bites throughout the day after that. You need to cover a bunch of water because these fish have bunched up in schools. So keep covering water. When you find them, you're going to catch a bunch. Numbers and size are still good. He's catching fish up to 9 pounds. Says each day you have a chance at 1 or 2 big ones during the day, 1 or 2 of those giants. Kurt Dove sent me a report from Lake Amistad. He says we've entered full summer pattern. There's a short window of top water in the morning, then fishing deep in 15 to 30 foot has been most productive. Football jigs and soft plastics and watermelon red are your best options. There are some fish schooling in the afternoon. The forward-facing sonar lets you target those fish so you can stay on them even after they go down. Lake Somerville has been really slow. Your best option there, though, right now is to throw a big Texas rig worm in the brush piles in 12 to 18 foot. Fayette County is consistently fishing well. Still some good solid fish early in the morning on the reeds and timber. Swim jigs, chatterbaits, and frogs are the lures of choice for those. Mid-morning on, you need to move out on the main lake, drop-offs and road beds. Carolina rigs, heavy shaky heads, and drop shots have been your best presentation. Green pumpkin and red bug have been the major players in colors. 15 to 20 foot is the zone you want to keep looking in. Falcon Lake, we have entered the summertime fire. It's been really hot. The fish and the temperatures are hot. It's actually begins my favorite window to catch your biggest bass of the year. Deep rocks with crankbaits, football jigs, and plastics will get that job done. And y'all pray for rain. We got a good shot coming this week, and I sure hope we get a bunch of it. Got 2 bass pictures there. One of them, Kurt Dove's buddy from Amistad with a true giant from down there. And then Mike Bates' customer, Mr. Ray, with a great big old Choke Canyon fish.
Nice. All right, tell us about the white bass, bub.
All right, Lake Somerville white bass and hybrids are biting steadily. Bright chartreuse swim baits, slab spoons, in that 8 to 10 foot of water around Welch Park and the dam have been working well. Schools are roaming, so your forward-facing sonar will let you stay in touch with them so you can stay on them and load the boat. Got some crappie also. Lake Somerville crappie are still going strong. They're biting jigs most days. Electric chicken, black chartreuse, and silver have been your best colors for your jig. And if they have a stubborn streak in them, get you some minnows and then drop them in those brush piles of 15 to 20 feet to catch you a good limit of eating fish.
All right, bub, we'll pray for that rain, and great report this week. We're going to go and take a look at the hot spots from the lower fresh region. He says Lake Somerville, the white bass and hybrids are playing nice. This is a great fun for everyone in the family. There are active schools on the main lake, close to the dam. Use your electronics to keep up with them and then throw slab spoons and swim baits to load your boat.
We are praying for that rain for sure. All right, the Star Tribal Middle Fresh region is really showing off the big guns this week, so get ready for that. But first,
Did you say big guns?
I did. Oh, you got to show yours off? Go ahead. Go ahead. I'll let you do it. Wow. But let's see what Dave is bringing to the Yak Gear Workbench. Let's see your guns, Dave. What you got?
I got BB guns.
BB guns. Pew
BB
pew. Pew pew.
We're
And what
talking
else?
about a great rig that you used in fast-moving water with live baits and or dead baits. Whatever baits you like.
Those are big guns right there.
Yeah.
Go ahead. We'll be right back.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Ameritrail. Load, launch, relax. Fenwick. Feel everything. Bahio. Blue light blocking, radically clear polarized fishing sunglasses. Sportsman's Adventures with Captain Rick Murphy. 30 years of fishing for adventure. Berkeley. Your fish, our science. And Skeeter Performance Fishing Boats. Eat, sleep, fish.
All right, well, Dave, it's time for the rigs and techniques
Yes, sir.
here at the Yak Gear Workbench. You know, Dave, the Jupiter rig is a very, very effective tool when it comes to fishing when you're anchored.
Correct.
Or whether you're on spot lock or anchor lock on your trolling motor.
And it even works good when you're moving as well.
Absolutely. So let's tell everybody why you and I like it so
Well,
much.
this is a great rig. It was invented to fight and catch big fish in the inlets and stuff, and that's that's where it was made to catch big fish in inlets, big redfish and trout and whatever sits in a big an inlet with a lot of moving water.
Flounders.
And, exactly, and it catches everything inshore and offshore. And what it's made to do is to be a mobile rig that keeps your live bait or your big chunk bait or whatever fairly close to the bottom in a heavy current. Because a lot of times if you're putting out a live bait or a big chunk and there's a lot of current moving, it'll drift up and come out of the strike zone. And a lot of those fish, when there's a big current moving, they hug the bottom. Because they don't have to move. If they're sitting right on the bottom, the wash goes right over their hydrodynamic bodies, and they can sit right on the bottom and not have to move that much. And once they come up off the bottom is when the current will get them. So they can sit there and not use any energy and wait for stuff to come sweeping down to them. And that's what this rig is made for. Eagle Claw has made one, so you don't have to make one yourself if you don't want to. We'll show
pre-rig.
Yeah, we'll show you in a second if you want to learn how to make them by yourself. But what this does is it positions a nice sized rolling barrel weight in between two swivels so that can't move all the way up and down the line. And that gives you the opportunity to put a leader of your choice, how long you want it to be, on one end, and then you tie the other end to your main line. And what that does is that this barrel swivel can roll along the bottom without getting snagged usually.
So you hold this one, Dave. Let's clear a little spot here. Let's move this Fenwick for a second. I'm going to come around this other side.
Oh, boy.
And I think it's really important so that people really understand how this works.
Right.
You throw this out, and now let's say that you throw 90 degrees to the current. Your bait fish, your croaker, or pinfish, or whatever it
Even
is,
a
your
big chunk bait.
pogey or a chunk. Now what happens is you throw this out 9 degrees of current, and you are the guy attached. Stay back just a little.
Okay.
And as it goes down current, look how it rolls so that it doesn't get hung. Go ahead and go with me here. But see, this is what makes this perfect until it gets completely down current, guys. That doesn't get hooked in the bottom. If you're fishing a really rough bottom, as you know, you've fished this thing 1,000,000 times, all you do is go like this.
And it bounces up?
Bounces up because it has no sharp edges, and the hook is up here. It's not buried. It's not like a jig head in the fish's face where he's anchored to the bottom and he gets hooked in the bottom.
Right. And what this also does is, it keeps the fish your live bait isn't really going to lift this weight. It's going to pretty much stay in this zone, this lower part of the current where that fish is looking for stuff.
Correct.
If that bait gets too high in the water column, he's not going to go up there and chase it. He's waiting for that stuff to come drifting down to him and in an ambush type of situation. And when you're using a live bait, you can use a circle hook like that one, or a live bait hook.
Right.
A live bait hook is a really good thing. You hook a big pinfish through the nose, and that'll work great. That's a L8 PG 6/0 live bait hook.
Right.
Or you could use one of these primal circle hooks here.
Right.
And these are almost foolproof, because once that big fish, that redfish or whatever, swallows that bait, you really don't have to do anything except put it in gear and start to wind.
Correct, because it's going to slide into the corner of his mouth.
It's going to come and get him right in the corner of the mouth. Now, you can also use this offshore if you're fishing on a wreck and you want to catch a cobia or something. A lot of times, you can make this leader a lot longer if you want to.
Right.
And target cobias or snappers that are higher in the
Correct.
water column.
Correct.
Because once this thing is all the way down on the bottom, your bait, if you can put a plug bait on there, something that floats a little bit up, that gets up above everything else, and
Right.
it gets all the attention.
Right.
And cobias really will come and get that. They'll eat stuff off the bottom, but they really like that stuff that's floating a little bit up off the bottom, 2 or 3 feet sometimes. You can make this 6 feet or 8 feet if you want to. If you're dropping on bottom, you don't have to worry about casting it.
And you can put it on a medium heavy rod.
Like this world-class Fenwick rod
Just
here.
like this Fenwick, which allows you to have lots of power here when you hook the big fish, but then you still have the capability of a light enough tip.
Yeah, that's their best graphite rod that they make. It's got 40 to 36 modulus graphite in it. It's incredibly sensitive and incredibly strong.
And everybody can go to our website and order this stuff right off our website.
Correct.
Boom, those are some big guns over there. And let me tell you,
These?
that's what I'm talking about. That was some good
That's not so
information.
bad.
That's not so bad. All right. In the Startron Middle Fresh region this week, it's all about bass on Toledo Bend and Sam Rayburn. So Matt, I know you have a lot to talk about. Let's get to it.
All right, Brie, let's do it. We're going to stay on these 2 lakes and talk about the bass because there's just so much going on. I don't have time to talk about anything else. These lakes have been on fire lately. They're just pumping out lots of bass and big bass like it's going out of style. So we're going to start with Toledo Bend. The bend is holding around full pool right now, actually a little bit above pool level, despite lots of generating and lots of water being released through the spillway gates. They're moving a lot of water through the lake, but it's staying up. It hasn't come down much. It's staying right there around that level. And that's good because when it's up and down in big fluctuations, it makes the fishing tougher because things are moving around constantly. The fish have to relocate when you get those big rises or big falls in water level. But when it's kind of holding steady or on a slower fall, the fish tend to bunch up in bigger schools, and it makes our days better as fishermen. So that's been a good deal lately on the water level. Now for the water temperature, I've already seen water up as high as 93 degrees out on the main lake. We had some calm days with a lot of sunshine, and that water temperature really heated up. But then we had that tropical system move in, a lot of overcast and a lot of wind back going on, and temperatures got all the way down to the lower 80s. So you can kind of expect that temperature to be anywhere from about 83 to 93 out on the main lake right now. And we've had a thermocline that has moved up a lot in some areas. The thermocline is not necessarily the same everywhere in the lake. It changes depending on what part of the lake you're in. I've seen it as shallow as 18, 19 feet in some of the creeks, and then out on the main lake, it's usually a little deeper, out to about 30 feet, especially if you go down on the lower end of the lake. So that thermocline is definitely something to consider. You don't want to fish below that when you're out there looking. The patterns have been very diverse lately for catching them, which is good because it allows the fishermen to spread out and everybody can kind of do the type of fishing that they most enjoy. That water level staying up high for the last couple of weeks kept a lot of options open. Still a lot of fish up shallow. The shoreline bushes and the grass up around the shoreline, the hay grass and the pepper grass and stuff like that is holding a lot of fish right now, especially early in the morning. And then the submergent grass, like the hydrilla and the milfoil and the coontail, out in about 5 to 15 feet of water, is holding a lot of fish and some really big ones. And then there's fish that are further out than that, out in about 10 to 20 foot of water, out on the main lake points and flats and stuff like that. So a lot going on, and we still have some current moving through the lake because they're still pulling all that water through the dam, and that's helping the bite too. So just a ton going on, and it's all good for the fishermen. Honestly, it's kind of hard for me to think of a bait right now that you couldn't go catch a fish with because there's just so much that's working well right now. But I'm going to kind of give you the top producers, in my opinion, right now, going from shallow to deep. Up shallow, especially in the morning, you got the frogs and the poppers. That's always a fun bite. And then you got the weightless shad style baits. Those are really good too if the fish aren't wanting to come to the top. And then crankbaits. You can catch them on a crankbait right now from a square bill all the way down to a deep diver. And then, of course, your worms, your bigger worms and your jigs, your football jigs and stuff like that are definitely a player right now. The biggest fish lately have been out in that little bit deeper water, not right on the bank. Lots of different ways, but mainly dropping a jig vertically in that thick hydrilla is a good one. That's something we haven't been able to do much in the last decade. So we're happy to have that good grass to drop in right now. Excited to report that that's working. And then that deep diving crankbait is definitely a good one for the big fish as well. We had a recent tournament here that took 57 pounds to win. I want to say congrats to our old buddy Steven Johnston for that one and his partner Tim Renault. Big win there. And keep in mind, these are post-spawn fish, so that's really big fish for this time of the year. Definitely excited to report all these big fish coming off Toledo Bend. And I'm going to end that Toledo Bend report with a photo of my good buddy Cole Pickett, fellow guide there, with a nice big Toledo Bend bass.
That's nice. All right, let's talk about Rayburn, bud.
All right, let's do it. So Rayburn's even higher than last week. It's over 7 feet high now. Water temps in the mid-80s. Lots of fish still being caught in the bushes over there as well. It's a fun bite. Lots and lots of bites to be had up in the bushes and cypress trees over there right now. Frogs, bladed jigs, spinner baits, your flipping baits, all players in those bushes. You can really have a great time and catch a lot of numbers. However, there just aren't a lot of fish over 3 pounds in those bushes right now, so if you want those bigger ones, they're close by, but they're hanging out on those points and those flats outside of those bushes. Almost like a springtime pattern where your big ones stay out and your little ones go up first. So look out in that 8 to 12 foot range for those bigger fish. Crankbaits and Carolina rigs are definitely a players. Inside hydrilla lines are really good. Look for that void area there and catch those big ones like that. And I'm going to leave you, because we're running out of time, I'm going to leave you with a photo of a giant 11-pounder caught by my good buddy Walt Stevens this week.
Wow. Nice, man. All right, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the Rodan Marine System hotspots from the Middle Fresh region. Matt says that Toledo Bend and Sam Rayburn are pumping out big numbers of giant bass. The fish are biting in the bushes and all the way out to 20 feet of water. From topwater plugs to deep diving plugs, pick your favorite way to catch them and go have some fun.
What a great hotspot. All right, anglers, get ready for the 43rd annual Key West Marlin Tournament, July 17th through the 20th, with record-breaking payouts, legendary offshore angling, and nightly festivities in the iconic Florida Keys. A Hemingway-esque adventure awaits. Make sure to get registered at keywestmarlin.com. That's coming up pretty quick, and it sounds like a lot of fun.
It is. It's really great. I mean, I love Key West and marlin fishing that time of year. You guys, you got to come over. And let's play.
Let's go.
All right,
the Seasucker Lower and Front Runner Boats Upper Coast regions are showing us what's on the menu for our weekend ahead when we come back. But remember, if you scan that QR code on your screen, you'll be able to check out all of our social media pages, YouTube channel, Captain Rick Murphy, where you can see new fishing adventures with reports and more. Plus, it will bring you to our website to shop for some show merch and fishing products galore. So scan away, and we'll be right back.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin, the best lures, period. Berkeley, your fish, our science. Murphy's Law Sport Fishing. Book your trip today at murphyslawsportfishing.com. Abyss Battery. Power your pursuit. Ducks Unlimited. Leader in wetlands conservation. Rodan. Set it, forget it, catch more fish. Berkeley Pro Spec Chrome, and Penn. Let the battle begin.
Hey, Brie.
Hi.
You want to know more about this new beautiful 350 Yamaha?
Absolutely.
Well, Lucy's here to educate us both.
All right, let's see it.
Hey guys, I'm here with Lucy Birdbury, Yamaha's product specialist. And Lucy, this is the new F350 V6, the lightest in its category. Why don't you tell us a little bit about this?
That's right, it's a V6. It was based off of the 4.2 liter, so right out of the gate, we're nice and light. We have that reliable track record, and then we engineered a ton of stuff from this block to make it its own class of engine.
So speaking of a class of engine, I love the fact that it's got a lot of cool standard features. Some of the stuff we brought over from the XTO line. Why don't you tell me about it?
Right, so standard thrust enhancing reverse exhaust. That's at or below 2,500 RPM, gives us a clean grab of the prop. The exhaust bubbles are coming out above the anti-ventilation plate. Got total tilt, standard. Got plasma fused cylinders, standard.
Beautiful. The other thing that comes to mind is what different colors does it have?
So we have 3 colors to choose from this time around. We've got our traditional gray, our pearlescent white, which is right here next to us, and now the classic white, which is a warmer white.
Now, I know a lot of guys are going to wonder about the amperage and the volts that come out of the alternator. Can we stack them so that we can keep all of our electronics charged?
Absolutely. So we have, it's a 70 amp charging system. And in this case, what we've done is brought XTO technology down to this actual platform. We've got a stator fan on it, just like the XTO. Pulling the heat off of the cowling through that stator fan is going to make the alternator perform better overall.
I love that. So the other thing I got one question
Yes.
about, guys are always asking me about prop selections. Why don't you tell us what's available?
We have new prop pitches this year for the Saltwater Series 2 to include the 24 and 25 inch right and left hand. Those are made as a match for this F350.
All right, I love that it has the fully integrated steering system as well. Lucy, if anybody has any questions about Yamahas, where do they go?
Of course, go to YamahaOutboards.com.
So, Brie,
Yes.
I got a new 36 front runner coming. We're going to have 3 of those 350s on the back.
Not 1, but 2, but 3 in the what color?
In the traditional gray,
Traditional
of course.
gray, of course. All right, well, let's get into the Seasucker Lower Coast region nitty-gritty with Captain Chad Kinney to see what our weekend holds. Hi, Chad.
Tell you what, we got some much-needed rain coming, and but the weekend looks like it's looking about 10, 15 mile an hour east winds and a little bit of rain, so I think the fishing is going to remain really solid. We're going to be talking about inshore and offshore right now, but we're going to start out with the inshore. The trout fishing's been really, really good up around the jetties and inside and outside the jetties, and also the redfish action's been out there also under the deep washouts and the eddies around those jetties. So talking about that trout fishing, try something a little bit different. Right now it's been really lights out, been really good. Head to those jetties from that trout fishing. You can try the inside of the jetties, so just like go right in the jetty and you usually have a little finger coming out. Basically, get your Rodan trolling motor, put yourself in position, anchor lock it, and just cast right up to the jetty there and work that. Right now, the best way we're catching more productive on the fishing is we're using some live croaker free line with an eagle claw tail hook, 5 to 7 knot in size. You can add a little shaker weight or a rattle to it on your main line. Especially, I like doing this around the jetties. It'll help it get sink a little bit like that. So basically, get your rattle or your shaker and get about 12 to 20 inches of a leader and put that on your eagle claw hook. Cast that bait right up to the jetties. Let it sink a little bit like that, and just do a little wrist twitch on it. And the bite's been great. The early bite's been better, so I definitely target the trout kind of first early when you're on the jetties. If you're using the soft plastics, then I've been using some saltwater sass and sea shad. I like that magic grass and color. It really works really good. And then we usually go upsize our jig head at the eagle claw a little bit. We go to a 1/4 ounce jig head since we're fishing some of that deeper water there and work those areas. And also, if you're using that artificial, try a little bit slower retrieve and, bump it even off the bottom. Try not to get stuck in the rocks, but you bump it off through there and you're going to get some really good action on that. Got a great picture of a 30-inch plus trout caught off the Mansfield jetties there from a buddy of mine, Connor Reynolds, with Reynolds Fishing Company.
Wow, that's a great fish,
There's some really studs that are going out there. It's great fishing. So the cool thing is about that, the trout fish right now, we're going to be talking about the redfish. So the redfish, well, they're at the jetties, so find the deeper holes in the washouts, work a heavier jig, about 1/4 to 3/4 ounce also. I've been seeing lots of schools of menhaden, jumping and blowing up everywhere on the jetty. So if you can catch some of those work really great with the Carolina rig. Throw it on the bottom there. Also, the live croaker works really good. So if you're done with your trout, switch over to the redfish and pretty much put it on the Carolina, and that'll work really good. Finger mullet also, for a backup, works really good on that. We're using, as far as gear goes, we're using some Penn spinning reels, about 3,000 in size. Keeps it really light enough and plenty of drag to make it a lot of fun when you're fighting these fish on the jetties and keeps them out of the rocks and stuff. There's plenty of slot fish in that 20 to 28 inch range, and there's some oversized also mixed in the mix there. So got another picture here of Aaron Sweater. She's a young enough kind of guy. He's really good. He's got a great picture of redfish here they've been releasing. So moving over to offshore, red snapper fishing remains really excellent. It's a great option, to go for after that if you go out trolling for some billfish, come back in for the snapper, on the way home. So like I said, red snapper we talk about a bunch, but it's a lot of fun fishing, great eating. They're really abundant right now. Federal waters is open, so it's time to take action and go out there. Right now, if you can find those suspended fish, look on your sonar. If you're fishing 130 foot of water, look for them at 50, 60 foot down.
fish with a jig. Eagle Claw trocar jig works really good. They're like 1 to 3 ounce in size. Or that Savage Squish jig, we've been using a bunch of those guys lately. Put a fish bite on that, it works really good. Find some good bottom, basically. Just look around for suspended fish. I mentioned the sonar. Just drop down to the count, find out what depth they're feeding at. It's going to be game on. Continue drifting through there. When the bite stops, basically, look at your machine and go back around, circle back around, and repeat it until you're done with your fish. Remember, federal waters, it's 2 per person per day. Enjoy the fun and some great eating afterwards. I actually went out fun fishing in the afternoon quick, so I got a picture of myself, which is rare. It's only dropped down one time. That's my only snapper I caught. It's dropped and then quit.
One drop wonder.
Moving over to bill fishing.
Look at you.
Bill fishing's picking up around the deeper, around Colt and Oasis Dome. It's been good reports of blue marlin, white marlin, sailfish, troll full spread. I like using some Islander lures rigged with some ballyhoo. Works really excellent on this. You put a shotgun out there. Put a daisy train made with Islanders in your last one, rig with ballyhoo, and put a bird teasing up in the front of that on your middle and your shotgun. Troll those at about 7.5 to 8 knots, and look for your weed lines, look for water temp breaks, color changes, look for bait balls on your sonar, and definitely look for bait that's working the surface, whether it's skipjack tuna or bonita, anything like that. Just work those areas when you see all those, everything on there, really increase your odds of raising up some billfish. So the time of year is really now through October for our billfish action in South Texas. So get out there and just check your weather before we go, but it's going to really be some good action.
Tell me about this kingfish. You got a kingfish picture there, Chad?
No, I don't have a kingfish here, but there's plenty of kingfish out there, but I don't have a kingfish.
All right, man. Well, it's okay. I made a mistake. No problem. All right, bud. We're good. Thank you so much. We're going to talk to you about next week. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the Lower Coast region now. The Lower Coast jetties continue to produce good trout and redfish, and then offshore red snappers remain excellent. And there has been some billfish being caught out by the Colt and Nueces domes.
All you need is one drop and you can go home.
Only.
That's it.
You know what happened? He was probably going along, looking at his depth recorder,
Yep.
saw something rise up, and he goes, "Oh, well, I better check that."
Yeah, that's how the professionals
That's how
do
he
it.
do it.
Yeah, and Chad, of course.
yeah.
All right, the inshore topwater bite seems to be all the rage right now in the front runner boats upper coast region, but Captain Carl Weston has some offshore options as well. What's up, Carl?
Well, the rain finally quit last weekend, and we got some really beautiful weather. And even though I had to drop 2 or 3 times to catch my limit this week, it's been really beautiful. We had an appearance of trout this week. Like we talked about the week before, those bigger fish are in the surf, and they've really picked up, as well as some nice fish back around the oyster reefs, guys. Those grassy shorelines and rocks along Texas City Dike have had small schools of shad and finger mullet, and most of our inshore fish are chasing these schools right now. Watch for the trout blowing up in these bait schools. It's going to be your target area, guys. I'll go back to that Berkeley Chopo 90 and bone right now in the stained water, and if you want to add some scent, try the fish bites as usual. The fight club shrimp on a Texas rig works like a champ, no pun intended. Picture today of Shannon with a beautiful trout.
Nice.
And so let's talk about redfish, guys. First place again, this fish's been solid all year, everywhere you go. Lots are being caught from the creeks, the bays, schools, hanging out in the middle of the bay around the edges of the reefs as well. The beachfront is seeing a lot of action, big schools of shad. The big reds are fired up, as you know, Rick, and these just blowing up. Smashing bait, the birds are on top. Mirror has some great topwater lures for this occasion, guys. The Mirodine and shad is for money right now. Live shrimp and fresh cut shad on a 3-way bottom rig is their natural choice. I'd say a medium pen spin action combo is what I'd love to use. Allows you to cast out to the schools, say 4 ounces, a sinker, 5-aught trocar hook will get the bites on. Just go catch you some. Picture of Traybar today and Jeremy with some nice tournament winning fish, guys.
Nice. All right, let's go offshore, bub.
Okay, we're rolling into week number 3 of the red snapper, and it's still a long run for us for big fish. Those rivers are dumping so much fresh water into the Gulf that it's stained out to almost 60 miles. So try to find the bigger structure around 200 feet right now. I had some big fish hit in live bait last week and some big chunks of squid. Definitely find the cleaner water. That stained water is not going to be good for much right now. As those rivers slow down a bit, the cleaner water will push back, fish come closer, and we don't have to run as far. But anyways, we appreciate those closer fish when we're running this far right now. Right now I'm using the new Pen Fathom 2 like we talked about, Rick, with that fast, rewind on these deeper spots, it's just a game changer. What a breeze to bring them up. I got a picture today of Zach with a nice snapper he caught last week in one of those deep spots.
That's awesome. One more to go. What do you got?
Hey, the past week answered a few questions, guys, about whether we're going to see some big kingfish in this year. I've seen some beautiful fish check in just the past few days. We're seeing more smaller fish in closer on the underwater structure, which is a great sign. The king bite the past 2 years has been really slow at best. So we may be turning the corner finally this season. Live bait is always your number one choice. For big ones, I've caught plenty of 50-pound kings on live bait, and they all love the live bait. Different ways, drifting cigar minnows, large, deep diving lures, spoons, diamond jigs. I'm telling you, when they're in, the most of the fish will bite on anything. But a slow-trolled live blue runner on 2 treble hook setup, that kingfish rig is just a sure way to catch fish. And when they're hungry, I always use the eagle claw trebles with a wire leader because they don't break. And here's a picture of Tosh with a big kingfish.
Ooh,
So, Carl, I do have a question for you, man. You know, you're talking about fishing that blue runner with a double hook rig. Do you like to bump troll that, or how are you keeping him? You hooking him in the shoulder and then hooking him in the back underneath? So you're just
Correct.
bumping the boat into gear, keeping it into the wind, whatever it may be, correct?
Yeah, I've got 3 motors, so what I'll do is I'll put 2 in neutral, and I'll run my center motor, and I'll even kick it in neutral. If the bait comes to a stop and looks like it's fighting, I let it sink. I let it sink, and I'll bump it in gear until I pull him up a little bit, and I just do that around the structure until I get a strike.
Do you fish in 2 or 1? You fish 1 short and 1 long?
I fish 4 sometimes. I'll put 2 on the outriggers and fish a short and a long off the stern of the boat.
That's my man. I just knew that you'd keep that clear for me. Thank you so much, bub. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Upscale Glass Company hotspots from the Upper Fresh region. He says inshore target trout while free lining live shrimp or small finger mullets on a number 4 Eagle Claw hook tied to 3 feet length of Vanish floral 20-pound fluorocarbon in a 1/4 ounce split shot. And then offshore, find the clean water 180 to 200 foot range while fishing structure with live bait, large cut squid to target those red snappers.
Carl likes to just send it.
Send it.
Send it. Send them all.
We'll worry about the mess when it gets here.
Send it. Gotta get them in. All right, the lakes are slapped full in the Upper Fresh region, so stay with us to find out how our guide is fishing them. But first, Dave is finding out all sorts of things at the Yak Gear workbench for new products.
Yes, these are awesome, aren't they? Bree was over here sniffing at these things. She wants one.
I do. Those look amazing.
Little pinfish.
She wants to get jiggy with a pin.
Fish catching machine right there. We'll be back.
What do you think?
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Abu Garcia, Fish to Win, Fenwick, Feel Everything, Berkeley Pro Spec Chrome, Island Lures, Tournament Tackle, Sea Sucker, easy on, easy off, incredibly strong. Turn on the bite anytime. Tie on a Miro lure. Front Runner Boats, performance-built offshore fishing boats made in the USA. And Startron, start, run, and store with Startron.
Today's Power Pole tip is certainly about the premium brand products that Power Pole has to offer. Now, over the last 25 years, they have certainly created some really cool products. The Charge comes to mind for me, and certainly it saves me a lot of time each day when I can just simply get home, plug in, and not have to worry about watching and maintaining my batteries between trips. The other thing that I think about is how easy it's made my job and my boating experience on a day-to-day basis when I'm actually using the shallow water anchors that they have to offer as well. Remember this, when you're talking about buying a Power Pole product, you're supporting a Florida-based company right here in Tampa. And the thing that I also appreciate about them is how well their customer service and what they have to offer us. It certainly is the best in the industry, so keep that in mind. So on behalf of Power Pole, we want to thank you for supporting Power Pole over the last 25 years, and we also are looking forward to working with you with new products over the next 25 years. And if you have any questions, you can go to powerpole.com, and that's today's Power Pole Tip of the Week. You know, Dave, we're here at the Taco Marine Yak Gear Workbench, and it's time for the new products.
Right.
And I gotta say, this is one of my favorite parts of the show because it's like gives me some things to look forward to.
Me too. Well, next, first off, we're going to talk that SavageGear.com. These are the Pulse Tail Pinfish. They're based on a 3D scan of an actual pinfish, and then they've got that photo print detailing on there, which makes them, you know, look just like the real thing. It swims really nice, and it looks just like a pinfish, and it'll catch your eyeball. That's for sure when you see it in the package. It's exceptional bait for you know, attracting those large predators. It's got really nice heavy-duty jig hook on there.
Right.
They come in two different sizes, a 4-inch and a 3-inch, 3/8 ounce up to 1 1/4 ounce. So, you know, they swim at different depths, you know, from anywhere between 2 and 6 feet, depending on how fast you crank it. And they got a little built-in rattle in there as well. They cast really good. They're, you know, heavy enough to make a good long cast. And they got a little tail cavity where you can add scent if you want to.
Oh yeah,
or even put a little rattle in there if you want to put a little rattle in the tail to really get her going. They do have a scent inside of them already. They're infused with some sort of scent. So they're really cool.
Remember this, guys, whenever you got something that's a jig head style, always tie this on with a loop so that you get more action. Plus, when it's sinking, if it's tied with a loop and you're over here, what ends up happening is it'll take a downward pitch and not be fighting you tying it straight to the hook where it wants to sink like that.
That's very good
tip.
Good
Stuff, Jeff, Dave.
Next, we have the Starbright Ceramic Speed Detailer. It's really the fastest way to get the protective power of ceramics on your boat or your car or whatever. Any surface, you know, painted surface that you want to make shiny. It's a nice, you know, you wipe it down and wipe it back off. It uses a ceramic tech and polymers to create water beading and it really shiny, so it keeps and a long-lasting UV protection as well. No, don't do that, man. I wouldn't do that. You just shake it, spray it on, and then using a really nice cloth to wipe it back off. You don't want to do it on a hot surface. You want to make sure it's
This is a hot surface right now,
yeah, you want to make sure it's cool before you do that. And then if you really want to, you know, after you use that speed detailer, you know, make sure you get all the grit and stuff off before you put the speed detailer on there. But once you do that, if you really want it to last for a lot longer time, then you get the ceramic wax and seal and put it on after you use your speed detailer.
Right.
So go to starbright.com to get that. That's just really, really good stuff. Next, we have the rod storage holder rack from TH Marine Supplies. This is a versatile 6-rod storage. You can put it vertically or horizontally. If you do it horizontally, it'll only hold 6 rods. If you do one next to each other like this, you can actually put 12 rods in it. You know,
Right.
You know, it's really cool. They use these nice foam inserts here to grip the rod really well, and they're corrosion proof. It comes with all the screws that you need to use as well. They're very lightweight and durable. You can mount them in an anchor locker or you know, a boat locker for
I use
your
them
rod
on my
locker.
G3 John boat. They're perfect.
Yeah, because they don't weigh anything and they won't rust.
So we go to thmarine.com?
thmarinesupplies.com.
Marine Supplies. All right, what do we got? We got Scientific Anglers.
We got the Scientific Anglers, the Magnitude Smooth lines, the Grand Slam Full Clear, and the Tarpon Full Clear. I always wondered why fly lines had color and weren't clear. I always wondered why that was. But I guess they had problems with making the clear lines work for a long time because they just did. And these don't. These don't have that problem. They're ushering in a new era of fly line technology. It's the most durable and slickest clear floating lines on the market. I guess they had problems with durability with clear lines before.
That's correct. Getting it to bond to the monofilament core was always a problem versus PVC, which needed to be colored.
Right.
Is the difference.
Well, this gives you the ultimate stealthy presentation. It has a 12-foot clear floating tip option as well.
Yeah.
And really good slickness. So
Scientificangler.com.
Scientificanglers.com to get you some of that clear fly line.
Or they can just go to our website and click on the link and
Dave,
buy them there.
You say you're wondering, you know Rick's going to tell you why.
That's right.
Yep, and he just did. All right, Mike McFarland has a lot of good things to report from the Upper Fresh region, so let's hear what he has to say about Ray Hubbard, Athens, Bodark, and Fort. What's going on, Mike?
Hello, everybody. Yes, getting good up here for the summertime fishing. Ray Hubbard and Mr. Joe Shipley says that the buzzbait bite early mornings used around the seawalls and the boat slips are still catching some fish. But really the deep bite is what's on fire. Starting to really set up good. Put your boat out in about 20 feet of water. Use deep diving crankbaits, jigs, and shaky heads with trick worms. The rocky areas and the rock structure areas are best. Lake Athens with Jay Bonner. Most of the bass are holding on offshore humps, structures, and brush piles there, especially the locations that have the brush piles. Drop shot rig trick worms, Texas rig creature baits, and green pumpkin and watermelon candy with the tails dipped chartreuse are best bets. You can also at Athens find some fish around the edges of the deeper grass. My personal favorite for hitting the deep grass edges is a 7-inch tap-out trick worm by Bass Assassin. The color watermelon candy, dip the tail chartreuse about a 1/4 inch. Sometimes I put a little nail weight in that too, but that's Athens. Lake Bodart continues to be great fishing. It's full pool. The bass are starting to move out on the points, humps, the deeper water structure, and the tree lines. Texas rig big worms and creature baits are best bet there. I really like the Bass Assassin 11-inch worm for when I'm offshore the deep water trees and structures. I use a 5-odd EWG extra wide gap hook and a 3/8 ounce tungsten weight peg. The best colors there are going to be red bug, plum, and purple. Lake Fork, my home lake, starting to have a really good summer bite here. Offshore bite's getting good. We just had the Lake Fork, we had the honor really of hosting the annual Skeeter Boats Owners Tournament 2024. This event was amazing. There were 1,700 anglers that entered. They competed for hourly prizes, for hourly giveaways, a chance to win all kinds of things, including a brand new Skeeter bass boat for the biggest fish overall. So really big shout out to Skeeter Boats and Yamaha for hosting such an awesome event, just flawless. Congratulations to Bernard Gunn, who actually had a 8.81 big fish that won the bass boat. I mean, that's like a $100,000 deal. So Fork's fishing well. The offshore bite with the football jigs and big worms is where it's at. Go on down to Fork, catch a big fish. Check it out. Here's my client with this is a big 7-pounder. We call it a Lake Fork special. There's a common bass for Lake Fork.
Nice. All right, what else you got this week, bub?
We got crappie on Lake Fork with Jackie Wiggins. He said the crappie fishing is getting red hot. Really seeing the black crappie load up, and the numbers of offshore stuff like laydowns, they're under docks, the bridge structures and things, typical summer patterns. Look for black crappie in 14 to 22 feet. Look for the white crappie in 18 to 26. Minnows are obviously a real great go-to, but if you kind of like you like to catch them on artificial, the small hand-tied jigs and some soft plastics are still working there. And then here's Jackie with a nice table of good eats. Man, this crappie are good eating.
Looks good. What else you got? White bass?
Strikers, Lake Levon. Lake Levon was closed for a little bit, but they have opened up the ramps from what I know. Collin Park is open. White bass is good. Kerry Thorne says that they're deep. They're 30 to 45 feet, so 1 to 2 ounce slab spoons. Use your electronics and find areas of the deep bait fish and even the fish arcs themselves. And then Tawakoni's had a lot of water falling out of it. So Matt Cartwright says it's been a little tough for the hybrids. Where it was on fire for the hybrids, it slowed down a lot. The lake's falling, so it scattered them out. But there again, the sand bass have been excellent. The main lake points in 12 to 20 feet. Chartreuse slab spoons, very easy limits of the sand bass on Lake Tawakoni. And then moving on, if we got time, looks like we can throw you some catfish. Lake Levon, and really all the lakes are doing this. The catfish are spawning, so they're spawning in rocky areas. You don't have to chum, but if you'll bait those areas with some Milo or cattle cubes, you'll keep the fish in that area longer. So between Levon, Tawakoni, Lake Fork, just put a little bit of that Milo chum out, at least a few hours before, and then 3 to 10 feet, shallow bobber, punch bait, chicken liver, shrimp, cut shad. That usually is all you need to do. And the catfish is really going well up here.
All right, bud. Great report. Thank you for batting cleanup for us. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Ducks Unlimited hotspots from the Upper Fresh region. Mike says with all the recent heavy flooding rains and the high lake level conditions, most of the Upper Fresh region lakes are fishing very similar. The Berkeley topwater baits used during the morning hours and then go to big soft plastics like the 11-inch assassin worms for the afternoon and actual evening bite.
The Upper Fresh needs to gift the Lower Fresh some of that rain.
Water.
Oh, yeah, there's going to be some rain coming, I hope.
Yeah, for everybody?
Yeah.
What do you think it is?
Even us, unfortunately.
Yes,
Again.
well,
we got
we're all getting it. No, we're good. Did you gentlemen have a wonderful Father's Day or
We
what?
did.
Yeah, I did.
Yes?
We did.
I did too.
You did?
Yeah, my
How did
husband
you-
took me out on the water.
Very nice.
And he made me breakfast.
Nice.
I know.
Nice.
That's
I tried.
a good father.
Yeah.
You guys agree?
Sometimes you take on the roles of both. You know,
Yeah,
it'll happen.
yeah.
It'll happen. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you next week. Get out there on the water, catch those fish, be safe as always, and keep it safe. We'll see you next week. Bye.